So I am here with now I was thinking about this word, incomparable. Oh, I actually managed to say it. Oh, Jordan.
Oh, I love that word. Incomparable.
Well, you
Oh, yeah.
are. You totally are. Pal, let me introduce you. I'll do like a sensible introduction, relatively,
Oh,
to
amazing.
begin. So,
Mhm.
Pearl helps female entrepreneurs to create transformational events. She is also an author. She's writing her first book for us at the Unbound Press. Very, very exciting. It is coming soon.
Ba, 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 ba.
Exactly. She is a coach, she's a speaker, she has this amazing background in dance and performance. She always brings the vibe. I have known Pearl for I can't remember how many years. We'll talk about how we met maybe. And she's been part of the Unbound Writing Mastermind, the Unbound community, for the past kind of 4+ years. And whenever Pearl is on a call, there's pretty much always laughter. There's pretty much always some kind of dancing, singing, sometimes rapping. Uh,
It is
don't start.
time to get back on track.
Don't set me off. Don't set me off. So she's just a joy, and I'm really excited to introduce you to more of the Unbound community today, pal. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to try and be sensible today.
I don't think we can be sensible together, but we will try. We
We'll
will
try.
try.
We'll try. Thank you.
Not too much.
Thank you.
So let's just talk about, like, is there anything you want to add there about who you are or what you do? It's so hard to describe.
Yeah, no, I think people will get a sense as we have our conversation
Yeah,
how incomparable I am.
exactly. You can take that. You can
I'm
use
gonna
that in
I'm gonna
future.
use that.
Yeah,
But
please.
if I have to slow down to be able to say the word,
I had to really think about it. So,
okay.
yeah,
Comparable. Okay.
incomparable. Yeah.
Comparable. Mhm.
So we first met at an event, actually, talking
Mhm.
about events. It
Yeah,
was a networking event, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
it was.
yeah, yeah. So a little
It's-
bit. I mean, can you remember the actual
It
day?
was so, was that pre-pandemic?
It was, yeah, yeah,
That's how long ago we met.
yeah.
And and we were buzzing immediately, weren't we?
I know.
Tingles, sparkling between the two of us. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was a networking in town, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Joy
Yeah.
Jam, the Joy
Joy
Jam.
Jam, Joy Jam.
Yeah,
Lovely
yeah.
Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the amazing thing, isn't it? Like when we like, you are creating this event to help other women create their events. And when we come together in person, like the connections we make, like we met, I don't know, that event wasn't very long. It was like a couple of hours or something. We chatted maybe for like half an hour. Not even that, maybe. And then yeah, years later, um, we're still connected. You haven't managed to get rid of me.
No. And vice versa.
Oh, so why are you so passionate about doing this particular work, Pearl, and helping especially female entrepreneurs to create transformational events?
Well, the thing about events, and you've heard me say this, and earth to pearl if I need to, after you have my permission. As part of the unbound community, you often use the word magical,
Mm,
because magic truly happens. And throughout the years, I've always been astounded by the magic that happens through I think the art of events and performance. Always blows my mind because you never know what's going to show up. And I've in awe of that, of what that brings to people, how it changes one's lives.
Mhm.
Not only about the communicating and being in the same space and engaging, but what it does for you as an individual. And I think it's my style. I think because I'm so committed to this working from a place of your truth and an inside out approach, always, everything. So even if it was, helping people to present, it's always
Mhm.
about who are you? And you don't, it's your version, your style. That's the only one that counts, nobody else's. And people often find that really scary because it's like exposing yourself, like
Mm.
daring to be yourself on presenting or sharing. Or so I find that really fascinating, because when you break through those barriers, and then people go, I didn't know I could. It's just like, well, show up in your truth, in your integrity, and that's okay. And giving yourself permission. It's magical.
Yeah.
And how that then impacts who they are beyond that presentation or beyond the event. That has always, I met a young man recently, and I can't believe he's got his own law firm. He's still this young 18-year-old I met.
What?
And yeah, he's got his own law firm. I don't know what age he is now. I think he said he's 30 something, but to
Oh,
me,
okay. I thought you meant he was 18 and he had
oh,
his
no,
own
no,
law
no.
firm. I was like, how did that
No,
happen?
to me, he's still the 18-year-old.
Okay.
He actually told me he was 30, which I cannot believe, which means I may have gained a few years myself. But never mind, never. But he said, as part of my commitment to the community, I help young people through sports who are struggling in life, through
Mm.
cricket and stuff. He's Trinidadian, and he's gone back to the Caribbean. And he said, and I hear you all the time. And I was like, what? Because I haven't seen for it. And he said, I can hear all the things that you used to say to me when you used to guide me on stage. And he said, when I was 18, I didn't understand what you were doing. But now I hear you, and I'm repeating exactly the same things to inspire and empower these young people, so that they dare to show up as who they are, and it's okay to be who they are.
Oh, Pearl.
I just really, I was just, that thing that you don't know it until you maybe bump into them. You never know that thing about, you never know whose lives you're touching. I mean, he was the 18-year-old who hated me for always saying, no, come on, who are you when you're saying that? What do you mean? What's your big why? What's your intention?
Yeah,
Haven't seen for years. You never know, do you? So that's what I'm talking about. It's that knock-on effect, like as with everything transformational. We're in the business of transformation, aren't we?
exactly. Exactly. And this is why I'm interested that what you hold space for is in particular creating transformational events,
Yeah,
which, I would say pretty much everyone in the Unbound writing community has an interest in transformation because, we're writing transformational books. And
mm,
the way you hold space for creating an event is very similar to the way I hold space for writing a book, because it's not just that you're creating transformation for your reader or for the people who come to your event, but you get to be transformed in the process as you
yeah,
are bringing it together and stepping more fully into who you're here to be.
yeah, totally. And I always say, like, as with everything, it's a two-way thing. It's not like, here, Pearl's expert, she's going to show you how. No, it's just like, I'm here, I have these tools, and
Mm,
I'm bringing them into space, but I have to adapt and flex and shift with you to see how I can best help you. And in that process, I learn about me,
yeah.
where my limitations are, not limitations, but where, what I may have to work on more, my understanding. So we're all transforming together at the same time. And
Yeah.
I think when we're in that space, the word humility just came to me just then. When we're all in that space together and we know that we are all humbly, you know,
Mm-hmm.
doing our very best to explore things, and we know that we're all in it together,
Yeah.
including myself. Every minute I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm very happy to say I don't know. But
Yeah.
let's try and work out how we can know, because I
Yeah.
don't know at this moment and stuff like that. And I think that's really an important part of creating your event. In the same way you talk about, a book having its spirit,
Mm-hmm.
I think the event has its spirit.
Yeah,
And it's about tuning into that and tapping into that. Because I think if you have the idea, then it already exists.
exactly.
It's the same thing, isn't it? It's exactly the same thing. You have a book idea. You say that, don't you, as part of the Unbound? It
Yeah.
already exists. Whether or not we're willing to tap into that
Yeah. Was so often,
journey. That.
sorry to jump in there.
Carry on, carry on, carry
Getting
on.
excited.
You next. You next. Go, go.
Well, I feel like a lot of people watching this will know, like they would have had this idea for some kind of event that they want to create. And, for a few years, we couldn't do in-person events, could we? Because you mentioned the pandemic at the beginning of our conversation, so we couldn't. And then the past couple of years, we've been able to meet in person again and create these events. So the ideas are there, but sometimes people are holding back. Like there's some kind of like doubt bubbling up or fear. And what do you see as being the main kind of challenges or fears and doubts that can come up when someone's thinking about hosting an
I
event?
think, again, that's everything. It's unique. There'll be different aspects of it. So I guess it depends on one's experience.
Mm.
If you have no experience, then you're most probably dreading the whole thing because you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
No, you're like, oh my God, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, in terms of that. So I think it depends on your experience. I can talk about, I've for years I've been saying, oh, I so love when I help people to put on an event or part of a production and I guide them. I so love what happens and we all pull together and or like if I was to open my eyes every morning and go, yes, I'm helping somebody with a event, I'd go, "Woo!" It's just like, how long have you been saying that? And yet it hasn't occurred to you to create it as an event.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it's like I compartmentalized it into someone approaches me to help them to put on an event, or I put on
Mm.
an event. And so it's been compartmentalized somehow, as
Yeah.
in not really, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like how
Mm.
long? So from my perspective with this, I can see how that's what I did. I
Yeah.
put it in a box somewhere. And it
Mm.
didn't occur to me until now. Oh, create it as an event. It's just like, duh. It's one of those things, when you say it's at the end of your nose and you don't even, it's weird, right?
Exactly. Sometimes we're waiting for permission, I think. This is the same as with a book. It's like, oh, I've got this idea. I feel really cool to write a book, but you're kind of waiting for somebody to say, yeah, you can do that.
And I think that there's a real element of that with me
Yeah.
because I've always been, when I first had a jazz dance company, there was no such thing as a jazz dance company.
Mm.
Like many moons back. So we really had to prove ourselves and our worth because there was one type, but we wanted to do all different styles in a particular way, in a very multicultural, you know, you know, being able to share, go back to the roots, but then make it more modern. It was just not happening. And so we really had to prove ourselves. And I think throughout my life, I've always had these sort of creative ways of seeing things, and that's not
Mm.
happening at the time. And so I've always having to prove myself or having to get the confidence to actually believe in it because it's like not happening, like, and when I think of where we are today in terms of like movement, for example, as an empowerment tool, I'm like, oh my God, way back then. So I think there's an element of me that has learned to almost, which is why maybe it's compartmentalized. It's like, yeah, who does that though? I mean, I think there's a part of me that's in that space of not needing, I don't need it, but do you know what I mean? I think that's where that was still going from. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here you go. Oh, Jordan again, an idea. Who does that? Whereas I'm like, oh, get me in with your team. Let's pull on. I give you one scene to create. You will learn so much about who you are as a leader or as a team member, just from reading or that nursery rhyme. Oh my God, who does that? So I think there's so from my perspective, I can tell you, I think that was has been in the space without me knowing.
Yeah, and that will be in the space for lots of people who are thinking or
Yeah.
feeling really called to create something for their people, for their audiences, for their community. And, when we're talking about events, it could be, big events, it could be small, intimate events that you're going to
Yeah.
be helping people to create. And tell us some more about like the day that you're going to be hosting.
Ah, wow. I love the title because when it came to me, I was just like, whoa, where did that come from?
Exactly. When you shared it with me, I was like, what? This is amazing.
Your vision, your voice, your venture. It's like a da, 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 da,
It
coming
is.
soon. and and it was, yeah, so the and for me it's great that for someone whose brain is constantly sparking,
Mhm.
it's great to have these three very clear distinct areas.
Yeah.
And so your vision, obviously we know it's the vision, it's your why, what do you see? um for me, when I narrow it down, is ultimately on the day it's exploring that in as many different ways as possible.
Mhm.
Visualizations, um creatively we might create little collages, whatever, do some knitting, whatever it is, that something I know, I know. Whatever it is that allows, I'm going to have it all in the space. Whatever it is that allows us, everyone to sort of tap into or have a, I don't know, a tangible something that they create. It could be an
Mhm.
affirmation, it can be whatever,
Yeah.
because we're all different. So the vision, ultimately, the vision is the bigger picture why. So
Mm.
we say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. And it's like, okay, why? It's about chunking it, chunking it, chunking it right down to see what that really means in relation to your bigger picture why. Because if somebody, or for any reason, something came to try to take away that from you, if you haven't got your bigger picture why, it's very easy for you to crumble. Like I've just said, historically, I'll go, oh, I don't know, nobody knows what I'm talking about, and I'll scurry away.
Yeah.
So the vision part for me is like, you know this, Nicola. Once we know our ultimate bigger picture why, because it's more than the vision. Oh, I want it like me. I want to do an event, your vision, your venture, your why, because my bigger picture why is because it's out with the old and in with the new.
Mm.
When I chunk it right down, it's
Mm.
my commitment to the new way of doing things.
Yeah.
So, so that's what we'll be exploring in as many different ways as possible, and your voice, we can say, okay, it's how do I express? But ultimately, again, it's how do you express all of you, the unique,
Mm.
the uniqueness of you. So when I speak, I move. Let me tell you, in the early days when I did that, I felt so weird because I could see people going, no, what is she doing? I could, and people would, because I was exploring it. I just had this deep feeling that movement is essential to me. I know it is. So it has to be part of the way that I speak. I mean, when I speak, I never stop moving and flapping my arms around anyway. But I knew everyone was using PowerPoints. I was like, it's not a PowerPoint. I've got to use movement,
Mhm.
gesture. So I created this thing I call PowerPoint Boogie, this workshop to help people.
I didn't know about this.
To do that. Oh,
I mean, that's a mic
PowerPoint.
drop moment,
Yeah,
isn't
mic
it?
drop.
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint Boogie. Because what happens when things technically, went from years of creating conferences for the professional speaking and such, when something technical goes wrong and that PowerPoint ain't working, people may
Mm.
have their script, but you can see they can fumble because suddenly they're having to. Whereas if you bring some of it here, so you know that when you do this, you know where you are in your presentation,
Mm.
or when you go that, you literally can incorporate gestures. You can say, right, I'm going to do this. It's like, it's anchoring, isn't it? That's what they say. I'm going
Yeah.
to do do this, and when I do this, it's anchoring me into this part of my presentation.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
So, so your voice is about how we project and how those practical things, but ultimately it's about how we choose to express ourselves in our entirety. And it can
Mm,
be a mix of technical, and it can be a mix of whatever. So why don't we explore what your version is? Because your version is what counts, not somebody else's. And I think all the anxiety that comes with presenting is because we somehow can be convinced that there's a way of
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And we watch the experts. I was there, guilty. I was guilty in the early days of being around the speaking association. I was used to look at them and go, oh, I wonder how. Oh, and when all the speakers left the room for tea, I would go on the stage and stand on the stage and look out.
I love
Like, like, oh, imagine the audience is there, and and I was freaking out. And then I was having a conversation, someone said, how long have you been on stage? I said, oh, 30, 40 years. And they said, most people in this room haven't been on a stage for more than 5 years. They may be professional, but none of them have the performance experience you have. So wise up.
But sometimes we need someone else to reflect that back to us, don't we? In lots of different ways. Like we've
Yeah.
got this experience, but we're not seeing it for ourselves because, like you say, maybe we're not doing it. We're not expressing ourselves in the way that a lot of other people are.
Yeah, and there's the big bucks in this, isn't there? Because I've been to events. I've been because I there was a time when I was really in the speaking world, and I've been to lots of different events. Other experts have been running, and literally, it's very convenient for them to run the speaking events, the courses that they're running. It's very
Mm,
convenient because it's full of this is the do's. These are you do this, followed by that, followed by that, followed. Do you know what I mean? You
yeah,
step
exactly.
to the left. So then we can get anxious because I've got to remember to step to the right, step to the left. I'm like, well, what's your right? Do you know what I mean? Stop this nonsense. Do you know
It
what I
doesn't
mean? So
work
there's
for us,
something
does
about
it?
no, it doesn't work for us. So your voice is about giving the opportunity to explore that because ultimately, when we run an event, most people are running events that they can present. Now, there are
Mm,
events where one may be thinking of creating an event and inviting others, and but you still have to introduce them, or you get an MC. Do you know what I mean? But you're still even in the background. So how you show up, even in the background, will impact the event ultimately anyway.
completely, completely.
That's yeah. So your voice is very much about, and it's the audience journey. The obvious. What's your message? What's your story, and all that kind of stuff. But the bigger picture again version is how you can walk on that stage and be comfortably you.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that reminds me of like one time in the Unbound Writing Mastermind when we had a show up and share session, and you read a piece and from your book, which was about it was stepping out of the what was the title of it?
In
Stepping
the
out of
wings.
in the wings, and the piece was about like a woman stepping out of the wings, like being on the stage, and it wasn't a meditation or a visualization. It was a piece from your book, but all of us were like we could feel that sense of like allowing ourselves to be center stage and how powerful that was. And I think that is like a visualization that you use to help people get comfortable with that feeling, like allowing ourselves to be seen and to
Mm,
be center stage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? How much I don't know, conditioned to believe that we need to show up as
Yeah.
someone else's version. And in the wings, it's, how many times have I been in the wings sweating because, well, I know there's direction, so you have to do what's expected, but sweating because I haven't found a way to ground it into who I am.
Mm,
So it's still external. It's still, I have to do X plus, X, Y, and Z. So it's still outside of me. So I'm outside looking in. So when I'm in the wings, I'm not present because
yeah.
it's external. Whereas for me, writing that in the wings was what is it like when you're in the wings and you know that you're going to what you have an opportunity to walk on that stage. What does that take for you to dare to walk on that stage and take center stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, any external anything, just you yourself and me, myself, and I. You yourself and you.
You.
But what is
Exactly.
it? Do you know what I mean? No frills.
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
it take? So that's where that came from, because I was really feeling those feelings and the power that there is, the fear that there is in the wings.
Yeah.
But then you take that step, and then the second step, and then the third step. No frills, and you dare to stand, pause, and be.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the invitation, isn't it? Here,
Yeah.
like, that you're making to whoever is going to come to this
Mm.
day. Like it's stepping out of the wings
Yeah,
and being
stepping up.
themselves. What about your venture? What's that piece?
So your venture is the practical. I
Yeah.
think grounding it. We've done all the up here. We're walking our way.
Down.
Ding. Working. So, so I have this production doc that I've created, and it looks at the whole event things from many, many different angles. And for me, I believe and the attendees will be able to take this away and they'll have access to this.
Yeah.
But it's looking at that and then helping each individual to take away some, first steps that they move from the end of that day. They walk away and they're like, I know what my first steps are in
Mhm.
relation to all things. And that would be different for different people, depending on where they are and what. I know what the first steps are. Now it's a day, it's like 10:30 to 4:30. So it's not a week or it's a day. So, but the idea is that one leaves with a real sense of who they are in relation to their event and tangible steps that they're going, whatever that might be.
Exactly.
Whatever that might be. And then post the event, we have a session, one-on-one session anyway, to explore things further.
Yeah.
So your venture it's really about that. It's about the practicalities of, oh, and that the fact that no two events are the same. And how you show up at every event's never going to be the same because it's all live.
Exactly.
No, it's all live. And I was thinking about all the different events that I've worked on over the years. And there are some similarities, which is why it's great to have a production like checklist in a way.
Yeah.
But none of them are the same because some already have an audience, so you don't have to pull in an audience.
Mhm.
Um, some you have to pull in the audience. Some already have venues. Some you have to find a venue. And you said earlier, it's whether it's small scale, it's very intimate, or small scale, or mid scale, large scale.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just having a sense of I think we'll see because it's all bespoke, isn't it? It's all flexible and it's working in that very intuitive way. Whoever's in the space, it'd be great for all of us to share our experiences of events so we get a sense of the plethora of
Oh.
plethora. I love that word.
I love how you squeeze that one in.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I mean, we could talk about this literally all day. Like, I love it because there's so many similarities between this and the book writing process. I know it's going to be an amazing day. It's happening on March the
The 20
21st
yeah,
in London.
yeah,
It's only a few spots available. It's intimate. It's like a group VIP day, isn't it?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
amazing.
it's group VIP, maximum six, and we
Yeah.
really will. And there'll be tea. There'll be refreshments and cake.
Always cake. I
Always cake
mean,
for lunch.
whenever Pearl and I get together, if there's not three desserts, then what are we even doing?
What we
What are
doing?
we doing?
Come on.
So there will be, I can, yeah, guarantee there will
Yeah.
be, there will
And
be.
again, that comfort thing, wear comfortable clothing is not that we're going to be jumping around, but I think
You might be
it's
jumping around.
you might be jumping in the nicest possible
Of
music,
course.
musical statues way. You get comfortable.
Of course.
So that's a
Yeah.
very important part of it.
Yeah. Like you couldn't want for anyone better, more supportive than you, Pearl, to be holding space.
Thank you.
For you as you're creating, whether it's someone's first event or they've run a few, but they know like it could be more powerful, then like, yeah, you're just
And it's
like
about
born.
personality, isn't it? It's about personality. The personality of your event should reflect your personality.
Totally,
You know? So
totally.
allowing that to come through and how you can do that in so many different creative ways.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm excited to see what comes out of this day. And I wanted to say, like, for anyone who books on, who has come through the Unbound community, through kind of me connecting them with Pal, then I would love to share your event. So, like, if somebody comes along for the day and they create an event which is going to be happening later in the year, let me have the details and I will share it with my email list as well, which is it's about over 2,000 people. So I would love to share the love for any of the events that get created out of this day. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. It's been a joy as ever. We will put the invitation page for the event below the video so that people can find it and your contact details away as well. But thank you so much, Val.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great.